So the other day I did a video about how wonderful it is dealing with the people on the Zuckbug marketplace. And I've got a conclusion story for you, and I'll show you the difference between a shitbag and a decent person. So I mentioned in the other video about how fun it is dealing with these people who don't know what they have. They don't know what they want to sell for. They don't even have a description. So I'm looking at, we're adding a trailer to our fleet for our shipping company. And I'm looking for a 30 to 40-foot flatbed trailer. And there's a bunch of them out there, but you have to be so careful. People either don't know what they have or they just flat lie to you. So after 4 days of talking to somebody, we drive, oh, 5 hours round trip to go over and look at this trailer. Now, I did my due diligence. I asked the right questions, and there wasn't a whole lot in photos. And I said, well, could you send some more? But then she was like, well, my husband's out of town and it's not at our house and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, again, I asked enough questions that I was comfortable that, it could fit. It was priced, accordingly. So we go over there. Now, when we pull in, they're already there, and the husband doesn't even get out of the Jeep. I mean, he literally doesn't get Rocky, who I've been talking to, and sometimes his wife would be in on his text because he was out of town working or whatever. The guy don't get out of his Jeep because we don't pull in like some local yokels. We pull in with the F-250 all lit up, and I got the signs on the side of it for the hauling company and this, that, and the other. That's why he didn't get out. So you can see from the picture here, it wasn't a lot of pictures, but it was sufficient. So until we got out, and it it was the biggest turd you've ever seen. You couldn't polish that turd enough to make it worthwhile. So this one here catches my eye. I don't know, probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, and but it's quite a bit over what my budget is. Having that, we just bought the other toy hauler, cargo trailer, but I'm realizing you're gonna have to step it up, and sometimes getting something maybe that needs all new wood deck and maybe it's a couple grand cheaper than the next isn't always a deal because the amount of labor and time you got to put in, you can't just go make money with it. So I reached out to this person, John, and I said, this is a really nice setup because it not only came with this actual PJ 30, I think it's a 36 foot flat, which is an actual trailer manufacturer. It had included all this other stuff, these chains and these straps, tarps, and I'm like, wow, because you get into a lot of other stuff when you're doing hot shot hauling is you got to have all be prepared for so many things, and the chains are hardened chains. They're not, so they don't stretch. You've got well, I call them come alongs, but they're more of a ratchet, and it has everything. It's the full setup for cargo for hot shot. I mean, the full setup. And I'm like, huh. So in my typical Tabasco smooth style, I said, John, that's a lot of stuff, and your price is, fair. I said, but I'm just a little bit concerned. I mean, are you selling out? Because you've got the full setup for. We're talking tarps, bungees, blocks of wood that you need for stacking, and I mean the full money. And I'm like, are you getting out of the business? Makes me worry about getting into business or expanding the business if you're getting out because the money's, supposed to be pretty good. And I get a reply back, and then I went to bed because I was crashed out. And I get up and I look at my text, and it's his wife answering. And she said, "Well, this is Sylvia. I'm John's wife." She said, "John passed away last fall, and so I'm just now getting around to selling the business." I mean, you got talk about feeling like this, man. And I get, but I said, but anyway, I told her, I said, I'm going to short. That's not my budget. It's a couple of thousand more than I can spend because I just bought this other trailer and put a bunch of money in it and stuff. And she said, well, I can't come down to that level. She said, but I can do this. And it was like 500 above what I could spend. And so we decided to go ahead and close that deal. And back over to Orlando, I went tonight and got home about 3 o'clock in the morning. But I'm going to tell you, this lady lost so much, and they're in their 30s, and paid it forward. The full setup, everything you could possibly need, for a tremendously more than fair price. When you got the shit bag last night or night four or whatever that just tried to trick you into buying some piece of shit to get somebody killed, and that's the difference, man. We talk about our government and these elitists and how they try to screw everybody and screw us and everything to death. But you know what? It starts with your neighbors, the people down the road, the people you deal with every day. I think 90% of them are shit bags. I mean, they really are. They're willing to screw you. It's just amazing. On a one-on-one, you meet people and they seem to be all right, but you don't know their whole picture. But then you deal with these other people, and they're just snakes, man, snakes in the grass. So Anyway, happy ending to a long week of trying to get shit together for this, and it's nice to see that there are actually some decent people still out there. I hope you're one, but you're probably not. You're probably an asshole just like me. So, but what do I know? I am just Tabasco, the bucking triker, or the trucking biker. Anyway, keep it real.